Welcome, my dear friends and students. After completing the first chapter, today I am going to start the second chapter, that is the mechanical properties of fluids. Now, in second chapter, we have to study about the fluids in three parts. That is, the first part is a hydrodynamics. It means we have to study fluid at rest. We have to study about the fluid which is at rest position. Second, that is fluid which is in motion. And in third part, we have to study about surface tension and viscosity. Now here I write fluids. We have to study the fluid in these three parts. That is the hydrodynamics, hydrostatic, and the surface tension and viscosity. Now when we study the properties of fluid at rest, it is called as a hydrostatic. When we study the properties of fluid which is in motion, called as a hydrodynamics. The word itself gives its meaning. Static means rest and dynamics means that is in motion. That is, we have to study the fluids, that is the properties of fluid in three parts, that is hydrodynamics, hydrostatic, and the surface tension and viscosity. Now here generally we know the three states of matter. In previous class we generally studied about the states of matter, that are the three states of matter which exist at ordinary temperature, at room temperature, that is solid state, liquid state, and gaseous state. So here all of you know about solid, about liquid, and about the gaseous state. But two states that are again added, that is plasma state and Bose-Einstein condensate state. So now we consider there are five states of matter: solid state, liquid state, gaseous state, plasma state, and Bose-Einstein condensate state. Now out of these five, these three are very familiar to us, that is solid state. So how we differentiate this state of matter? Which are the factors on which we generally differentiate that three states of matter? These two factors are, that is the force of attraction between two molecules of that substance, which is called as intermolecular force, and second one, that is distance between two molecules. On the basis of these two factors, we generally distinguish between solid, liquid, and gaseous state, that is force of attraction and distance between the two molecules. So we generally define solids having the properties, that is definite shape and definite volume. So solids are those substances having definite shape and volume. Now liquid that possesses the definite volume but not the definite shape. Liquid generally take the shape of container. If we take the liquid in this type of container, or if you take the liquid in this type of container, then in that two container, liquid shape that is different. So that's why I write here, liquid doesn't possesses the definite shape, but it has the definite volume. And third state, that is the gaseous state. All of you know that gas neither possesses the definite shape nor possesses the definite volume. Here gas take the shape of container and occupy all the volume available to that gas. Then we have to consider these two states just for our knowledge, that is the plasma state and Bose-Einstein condensate state. Now here about the plasma, in our new books that are some lines are given. So plasma is also one of the state of matter which is generally a gas having certain ions, free electrons and neutral atoms. It means what is plasma? Plasma is one of the state of matter, that is the fourth state of matter, which consists of gas having free ions, electrons and neutral atoms. Now the fifth state is Bose-Einstein condensate state. Now this is also the state which is formed when a gas of bosons, boson, that is the one type of particle like proton, neutron and electron. So when we consider the gas of boson at low density and when it is cooled to a temperature very close to the absolute zero, then we have the state called as Bose-Einstein condensate state. So this is the general information related to this topic. Now after considering the states of matter, now let us move toward our heading, that is we have to study mechanical properties of fluids. So that's why first of all we must know what do you mean by fluid. So simply fluid is the substance which can flow. So we can write the definition in a proper way. The ability of substance to flow, but when under the action of external force, whenever certain force acting on that substance, and if that substance flow, then that substance is called as a fluid. So that's why keep in mind first definition from this chapter, that is what do you mean by fluid? What is fluid? Simply ability of the substance to flow under the action of external force, that is called as fluid. And all of you know that out of that state which we well know, that is liquid and gases can flow. That's why they can considered as a fluid. So in general, liquid and gases are combinedly considered as a fluid. Then when we apply some force on that fluid easily undergo the deformation. Deformation means change in shape and size. Here fluid is a substance that undergo deformation when we apply the force on it. Why liquid and gases easily undergo the deformation? So to explain this, we have to consider the concept, that is of force of attraction that exists between the two molecules. So you know that in case of the solid, the force is maximum. In case of the liquid, that force is moderate. In case of the gas, the force is least, that is the minimum, that is the less. So whenever we apply the force on liquid and gas, then that liquid and gas can easily change their shape and size. That's why right here fluid is a substance which undergo the deformation when we apply the force on it. Now here we discuss the fourth state of matter. So in our book also that state is given, that is the plasma state. So plasma is also the gas, but having certain ions, free electrons and neutral atoms. So that's why this plasma can also be considered as a fluid. So that's why we have the example of fluid, that is liquid, gas and the plasma, that can be considered as a fluid. Now in order to study in detail about the fluid, we have to consider certain points about the fluids. Here let us consider one point about the fluid, that shear modulus of fluid is 0. This is important. related to the MCQ. That is, what is shear modulus? So in 11th class you already studied the three constant: Young's modulus, bulk modulus, and modulus of rigidity. Now here shear modulus is related to the change in shape. When we apply some force on that body, then whatever the effect of that body, here shear modulus of fluid is 0. Now fluid cannot resist any shear force applied to them. Whatever force applied on the fluids, that fluids unable to produce the reaction force. That's why whatever the force applied on that liquid and gas, that liquid and gas doesn't opposes the external force. So that's why right here fluid cannot resist any shear applied to them. Solid strongly resists the shear force. Why? Because that solids can produce the internal restoring force strongly. Liquid and gases doesn't able to produce that strong internal restoring force. Internal restoring force produced in liquid and gases, that is very small, negligible. That's why these fluids cannot able to resist whatever the force applied externally. Now consider the properties of ideal fluid. So first of all, we must know what do you mean by ideal fluid, and we have to consider certain properties. That is, any fluid which possesses these properties, that is called as the ideal fluid. Now which are the properties of ideal fluid? Now here generally the fluid which is incompressible. Now what do you mean by incompressible? When we apply the force on body, if there is change in volume of that body, then depending on whether the volume increases or decreases, when we apply the force, if volume decreases, then it is called as compression. When we apply the force, if the volume increases, it is called as expansion. So here we have to consider the incompressible. It means the fluid whose density remain constant. The fluid whose density remain constant called as a incompressible fluid. When we consider the concept of density, we have to consider mass and volume. So all of you know that density is the ratio of mass and volume. Now density of that fluid remain constant, it means its volume remain constant. Mass of the any substance always remain constant. So you can consider the first property of ideal fluid is that ideal fluid is incompressible. It means its mass, volume, density always remain constant. Second one, its flow is irrotational. So in first chapter we already studied what do you mean by rotational motion. During the flow of that fluid, if that fluid doesn't produce any type of rotational motion, that flow is a steady flow, then here that type of flow is called as a irrotational. It means there is no turbulent flow. We have to consider later on what do you mean by turbulent flow, what do you mean by steady flow. So first of all, let us consider only the meaning of that word. That is, irrotational means during the motion of that fluid doesn't produces any type of rotational motion. That is the irrotational. Then third one, that fluid is generally non-viscous. Now here, during the motion, if there is no force of friction exists between the different layers of liquid, that liquid is considered as a non-viscous. We have to study in detail later on viscosity. And fourth one, its flow is a steady. It means at every point of the liquid the velocity remain constant, then that flow is called as a steady flow. So keep in mind which are the properties of ideal fluid. Here in our textbook, 4 properties that are given. The first one, it is incompressible. Second one, it is irrotational. Third one, it is a non-viscous. And fourth one, its flow is steady. Before going to the next point, let us revise again quickly. What do you mean by fluid? Simply substance which can flow. That is ability of the substance to flow under the action of external force. That is called as the fluid. Generally, liquid, gases and plasma can be considered as a fluid. Here, when we apply some force on the fluid easily undergo the deformation because they are not able to produce any internal force. So that's why right here, fluids cannot resist any shear force, any force which is applied externally. That's why the shear modulus of the fluid is 0. And we here consider the 4 properties of the ideal fluid. It is incompressible, it is irrotational, it is non-viscous, and its flow is steady. Now after considering what do you mean by fluids and properties of the ideal fluid, now we have to distinguish between solid and the fluids. So that is generally given in our introduction part, which is in our textbook. So we can easily distinguish between solid and fluids. That is, in first point I wrote here, that is solid already possesses the definite shape, but liquid and gases, all of you know that, doesn't possesses the definite shape, but they possesses the ability to take the shape of container. The shape of solid remain as it is, though we change the container in which it is placed. It doesn't take the shape of the container because it has definite shape. But liquid and gases, when we consider the liquid and gases, if we change the container, then that liquid take the shape of that container. So that's why I write here liquid and gases which combinedly considered as fluid, which has ability to take the shape of container. Second one, when we apply the force, as we know that solid possesses the definite shape, whatever the force acting on a particular area, that is the normal force we apply just to change the shape of that solid substance. So that force acting per unit area is called as the stress, and this is the stress which causes the change in shape of that substance. That's why it is called as a shear stress. So generally solids can subjected to the shear stress. Why? Because they possesses the definite shape. But fluids can't subjected to the shear stress because they doesn't possesses the definite shape. Third point, whatever the force applied externally on the particular area of the solid, that force opposes internally. So that's why I write here that shear stress opposes by the solid substances. But here liquid and gases, that is the combinedly fluids, doesn't opposes the shear stress. They are not able to produce the strong internal force. Then fourth point we can consider as here solids generally produces the restoring force. That is the force which is set up internally due to application of the external force. That force is called as the restoring force. So generally whenever we apply the force externally on the solid, some force is set up inside the solid whose property to regain its shape. That's why here that force is called as the restoring. To restore means to regain its original shape. So whenever we apply the shear stress in solid, restoring force is set up. But in case of liquid and gases, that is the fluids, a very weak, that is the negligible, restoring force is produced. So whenever we apply the force on solid, whatever there is a change in shape and size of the solid, that change in shape and size of the solid can vanish as soon as we remove the force. It means whatever the deformation produced in solid, that is reversible. When we apply the force, there is a change in shape and size. When we remove the force, that solid regain its original shape and size. This process is the deformation, which is a reversible. But when we apply some force on liquid and gases, that liquid and gases are unable to produce the restoring force. That's why they are unable to regain their shape, because already they doesn't possess the definite shape. So whatever deformation produced in liquid and gases, that are irreversible. So these are the certain distinguishable points between solids and fluid, which is given under the head of introduction in our textbook. Now, from the discussion of fluids, we can conclude properties of that fluid. That is, generally, fluids doesn't opposes the deformation. We already discussed when we apply the force. Generally, fluids easily undergo the deformation. So that's why I write the first property of fluid as generally fluids do not oppose the deformation. Second one, they have ability to flow. And third one, they have ability to take the shape of container. All these are the properties considered as the properties of fluid. Then when we consider the fluid which is taken in a container and it is at a rest position, then we have to study generally the properties of that fluid which is at a rest position in the first part of the chapter. So let us consider what is fluid at rest. So generally the branch of actually it is mechanics, but mechanics is the branch of physics. So that's right here, the branch of physics which deals with the study of properties of fluid at rest, called as a hydrostatic. Now here, when we consider certain fluid, that is the liquid. Now here in this chapter generally we have to study the properties of liquid. So that's why here in next topic, whenever I say the fluid, you have to consider that is the liquid. Now when liquid is taken in a container, now this liquid which is taken in a container, that is at a rest position. This liquid exert the force on the walls of the container as well as the bottom of the container. Now why this liquid exert the force on the surface which is in contact with the liquid? That surface may be the walls. So these are the walls of the container, and this one is the bottom of that open container. So why this liquid, or if you consider gas is taken in a closed container, so in that case also these gas molecules exert the force, that is the pressure, on the walls of the container, and liquid molecules also exert the force on the walls of the container. So why gas and liquid molecules generally able to exert the force on the surfaces which are in contact with them? All of you know that these gas molecules and liquid molecules, they are in state of random motion. So when these gas molecules or liquid molecules move and they are in contact with the walls, then here certain force that will be exerted by that gas and the liquid molecules on the walls of the container. So that's why right here. Now here we have to actually consider the concept of pressure. Now how pressure that can be created by fluids, that is the liquid and gas molecules. A fluid at rest exert the force on the surface of the contact. That is, that surface may be wall or that surface may be bottom of an open container of the fluid. Whatever the force exerted by that liquid molecules normally on the particular surface area, that force acting per unit surface area is called as the pressure. Now we have to introduce a very important topic from this chapter, that is the pressure. How that pressure exerted by the fluids on the walls of the container. So first of all, you have to keep in mind what do you mean by pressure. Simply, when we apply the force perpendicularly on particular area, then this force acting perpendicularly or normally to the unit area, that is called as the pressure. Now if we define the pressure, so it can be easily defined from this mathematical formula P equal to F by A. Here the normal force, whatever the force acting on that particular surface, that must be perpendicular, then only we can write simply F. If we apply the force in inclined direction, then we have to take the component of that force. So normal force exerted by the fluid which is at rest on the unit surface area, but that surface area must be in contact with the fluid. Whatever, if you consider here the liquid which is taken in a container. Now whatever the portion occupied by that liquid, you have to consider only that surface area, and whatever the force exerted by that fluid, that is the liquid molecules which are at a rest on the particular surface area which is in contact, that is called as the pressure. As we consider the formula P equal to F by A, that's why we can easily write the unit for pressure as force measured in Newton, area measured in meter square. So that's why SI unit become Newton per meter square. So that Newton per meter square is also called as the Pascal. Now CGS unit of the pressure is dyne per centimeter square. We can easily find the dimensions of a pressure from that formula. You can write the dimensions of force and dimensions of areas. Simply dimensions of area, that is the L square. Dimension of force, that is 1 in length, 1 in mass and minus 2 in time. Now if we simplify it, then it can be easily written as dimensions, that is minus 1 in length, 1 in mass and minus 2 in time. Now if you consider the nature of a pressure, now for isotropic bodies, we just consider the magnitude of that quantity. So that's why this pressure is considered as a scalar quantity. Now these are the certain conversion formulae of the pressure. So what is 1 bar pressure? So 1 bar pressure is simply the 10 to the power 5 Newton per meter square pressure. So that Newton per meter square is also called as the Pascal. So 1 bar equal to 10 to the power 5 Pascal or 10 to the power 5 Newton per meter square, and 1 hectopascal equal to simply 100 Pascal.